The fog rolled in from the ocean like something alive, crawling between the streetlights and swallowing the last sounds of the city. Detective Marlowe had worked murders for 12 years, but the voice on the telephone made his hands feel older. Then his bones, they found her in an empty lot near the edge of town, dressed in black, posed like a broken doll abandoned by a careless god. No purse, no identification. No witnesses brave enough to claim they saw her arrive, only a smile carved too wide, as if death itself had tried to wear her face and failed. Flashbulbs burst in the mist while reporters whispered about curses and devils and the price of beauty. In a city that feeds on dreams, Marlowe told them to get back, but even he couldn't look away for long. Something about the scene felt rehearsed, arranged, patient, as if whoever left her there wasn't finished yet. In the distance, a streetcar screamed along its rails, and Marlowe could have sworn the sound was laughter. When he finally stepped closer, the air turned cold enough to bite. Pinned to her coat was a small black flower, wet with dew that looked too dark to be water, and Marlowe realized with growing dread that the killer hadn't just left a body, he had left a message. Asterisk by morning, the papers owned her. They gave her a nickname sharp enough to cut through radio waves and dinner conversations. The public loved her more in death than they ever would have in life. Tips flooded the station, false sightings, confessions, letters written in ink that smelled like cheap perfume and madness. Marlowe read them all while the ceiling fan pushed. The heat around like a slow fever. Every writer claimed to know her. None of them truly did. But one envelope arrived without a return address. Heavy, deliberate, waiting. Inside was a photograph of the empty lot taken hours before the body was discovered. She was already there, but she wasn't alone. A tall shape stood behind her, blurred by motion, yet solid in intention. On the back, a sentence pressed hard. Into the paper as if carved by the pen, I kept the best part of her. Marlowe felt the room tilt, because he knew something the newspapers did not. When he had leaned close the night before, he had whispered a promise to the dead, "Help me find who did this," and now he feared she had answered. Asterisk the dreams began that evening, footsteps behind him in corridors that stretched too long, mirrors. That held her reflection even after he turned away, the black flower resting on his pillow, though he lived alone. Each night she stood a little closer, her carved smile trembling like it wanted to speak. Marlowe stopped sleeping, stopped shaving, stopped pretending the world made sense. He returned to the lot and found new footprints circling the place where she had lain. Not coming in, only going out, as if something had risen and walked into. The city wearing grief like a coat, the wind carried the distant echo of streetcars. Again, that laughter, metallic and patient. Marlowe understood then that this was no haunting. It was an invitation. Find me, it seemed to say. Finish what was started, or I will finish it for you. Asterisk the address led him to a house that had forgotten how to be lived in. Dust folded over the furniture like burial sheets. In the center of the room stood a chair facing a mirror, and in the mirror he saw her, waiting, not broken now, not abandoned, but whole in a way that terrified him more. The tall figure moved behind her. Unfolding from the dark, like a mistake the world refused to correct, Marlowe tried to raise his gun, but the mirror showed his hands already empty. The smile widened. Grateful, hungry, you asked for my help, she whispered without moving her lips. Now you belong to the story too. The streetcar screamed outside, drowning the sound of his breath. When the neighbors finally entered days later, they found the house. empty, except for a single black flower resting on the chair, still wet, still waiting.